Hello, Aries, and welcome to a Timeless Justice for Aries reading, where we discuss the topic of justice, however the conversation would like to be held. Bear in mind a few things before we get into your reading, that you have tapped into a collective reading that I said I'm holding at this time. This is not a personal one-to-one connection, so utilize your discernment to take the bits and pieces that you like of the storytelling time and leave anything behind with me that may not have been to your liking. Please remember, however, you're affiliated to the likability or knowledge of Aries and or the latter, and being here is a true form to taking in whatever may come from being here in this moment. Please know that I run two sister channels. This reading specifically is held for the energies of Sekhmet. To reach her sister channel of Bastat's energy, feel free to check out the description box below. You'll also find access to a website that you can find out more information as to who I am as 7th and all that jazz. And if you're interested to book services, you can do that via there. Bear in mind, this is a one-woman show, so however difficult or confusing it is to reach me, know that I'm still growing into a smoother accessibility and transparency and all that jive and jiggle. All right, I'm doing it all on my own, so keep that in mind as you make these internalized judgments and discernment decisions. Also, just remember that the energies of this channel, which is for Sekhmet, I will do my best as the highest vibrational honor that bestowed upon me to deliver these messages. Please remember that it is her insight, her intuitive messages. So you may find that the energies come across to you as merciful and or merciless. However, your opinion need not apply to listening to these messages. Okay? Lastly, just remember feminine and masculine energies are non-gender specific. However, please remember feminine has both feminine and masculinity. Masculinity as well has both femininity and masculinity. All right, let's get into it. I am 7th, aka Master 7th, that reads these energies for you. I'm a master healer that provides remote wellness alignments and tarot intuitive insights such as this. All right, justice for Aries. So we have a lot to say. As in, your energy has a lot to say, but you're not meant to say it. All right, you're not meant to say it. You're meant to really have an eyewitness approach about this. And this is about await and anticipate. Okay, this isn't about you reaching decisions for yourself, because right now the decisions that you've made have not been really aligned to work or transactionalize as a profit margin of your liking. Okay, so it seems dense. The game is not going well. Okay, so you're being asked to have a more to have the perspective that is wanting to come out with, which is have a more meditative approach to the internal chaos of you, will require you to do your homework in order to do the deed. And it's more or less triggering you to understand what it requires to emotionally regulate. Let's start there, okay? Yeah. Emotionally regulate. 404. Look at that. Crazy. As the Chariot energy comes through, because there is ultimately energy that you're in cahoots with, and you don't really know what is what. You don't know really if it's in Divine's hands and control. Half the time, though, you pray for Divine to take control. So you have to learn when Divinity is taking this control. And to the best of this logic, Divine is always in control. And you figuring out where you're swinging in the gratuity aspect of what can be arriving to you, that's internal regulation of shit. That's law of attraction. That's law of manifestation. That's fucking doing the dirty work of coping mechanisms and showing up to being human and dealing with that fucking shit. Like, that is difficult, all right? It is fucking difficult. It has its own internal war of judgments and mercilessness and forgiveness and regret and betrayal and cheat are starting with inside. So, yeah, we are absolutely meant to have a catharsis of an experience as human. If you want to understand human, you're going to have to be human. Period. And it seems as though that the everyday transactions that requires you to have an emotional human response is not really also working in your favor as much as it could bleed into other things not working in your favor. Whatever the problem is, it's the illusion to say that something's not working in your favor because you're admitting that there is an issue. Also, not doing anything is admitting there's an issue. I was going to say you owe people. I had to clear my throat. Right? You owe people something. You owe people true honor of your tongue. There's a lot of white lies Aries tend to do. They exaggerate. All right, it's a lot of their ego seeing the end goal and saying, nah, I'm going to get there. You know, and sometimes the brain is conditioned to think that a white lie and telling one will help you get closer to the end goal. However, little does this human understand that the end goal is a mirage. There is no winning at the end. You're always winning now. And that is something that is a cunning experience, especially for Aries at this time to feel it. I mean, that's the fire element, all right? We have the air and the earth element telling the story so far, and then we have the fire element, which if you understand Aries, that's your element, okay? That's the element collective language here. And to accept that is to accept then the ways that all of this up to now has triggered you, and then gratify that and belonging also to that. You belong to the trigger senses that triggered you. Period. You get it? Are you feeling it yet? You feeling it? You get it? You get it? Boy. Some of y'all are wondering a bit why the sass is coming through, and the sass is because the audacity. Like, start the derivatives of where you are challenged by life by meeting it at face value of being human. Because I guarantee you some of you are going to have like internal anxiety of like, what does that mean? What do you mean? What does that mean? You are human. What do you mean? What does that mean? Why are you so lost at being human? What? We're not talking about intelligence or wisdom. That's a learning curve. That's education. That's experience. That's a journey. Human. Yeah. What is the argument here? Where are you going to go? You're going to throw conspiracies on there. You're going to throw shit in the fucking mist. You're going to do this, trauma, this, ancestral, this, divinity, Allah, Jazwa, blah, blah, hebla, hablo, holy, ABC. Like, what's the problem? No matter what the view is, it's still going to come from the view and the experience of humans. So do it from the derivative of being fucking human. Denominate that shit. I think I just made up a word. The word is supposed to be denomination. You're the denominator of that. Dominate that shit. Denominate that shit. Woo! Getting a phone call. Pause. All right, no idea where we were, but here we are, somewhere. Between a rock and a hard place, and Aries trying to learn what it means to be an existential human within their own element of existence. All right. Pardon the interruption. continue the reading. Four of Cups, really having to understand the elements of why you're being asked to really take an eyewitness approach to your life, because you're being handed experiences in different pattern ways to try to understand how a certain pattern is either working or not working for you, all right? Because this was the energy of being compressed and densed in and overworked in something or understimulated in something. And the only way to get into the core of that is to really sit in the existentialism of who and what you are, that what you bring breath to, okay? That is the notion of meditation, the notion of being intertwined with yourself and knowing that you can untangle the knots of that entanglement. All right, and that is such an intuitive process of entanglement that it does require some form of braiding of something to extend and to return again. This is also in lieu and in honor of the 369 manifestation law, and also the idea of the Taurus field of infinite energy, and that's sustainable, okay? Meaning something from this core can extend the vastness of its ability and return back into the center again. That's a sustainable source of energy compared to a spiral of Fibonacci that has, or the flower of life that has a hard time going back to the 0 point. And that is a problem. That is a problem when it comes to one identity. You need to understand what you are emanating and then understand the value of what returns to you for emanating that. It has to return back to you, the source. And if it doesn't, the source feels lost, okay? This is an intuitive process. In the human conditioning, it's the physiological, mental, spiritual, emotional, physical essences, everything that the sensory body is adept to experience as a human, okay? That's just the human experience. That's the Three of Wands. That's the seeing what returns back to you. The shipment, the cargo. All right, we're anticipatory of that. What goods are coming back from that? And sometimes there are transactions where the good cannot come back, but it doesn't mean nothing comes back, right? You might have an empty ship come back, but something comes back. It always comes back. However, if it didn't land to you, it's kind of like, what pattern did it return to for it to not land back to me? It came from me. Why is it not coming back to me? Whoa. Yeah, it's interesting the way this landed. It almost landed like a spiral. And it's a problem when wanting to go finding the center. You have to let go of the spiral because the spiral is from the center of the Taurus field. But if you stay in the pattern of that, you'll never know you have actual access to the sustainable energy outside of that. Yep. You'll never know. Look at that. The Ten of Swords with the World card. You have the Three of Swords and the fucking Two of Pentacles. I mean, no. Ten of Swords. Ten of Swords, Three of Swords, the World, and the Two of Pentacles. Yeah. Like if you are stuck in a rut of a pattern of some kind, the only way that you can exercise the right to understand if a pattern is in your favor or comfortable is that comfortability, your senses, an intuitive knowledge, an intuitive hint, a lurk, a hinge, a guide, like something. I mean, fuck. Something. The something is not nothing. And even nothing is not nothing. So you're swimming in that growth and that expansion. I would again argue that's just the human expansion. Difficult now, isn't it? Ain't that shit hard? Alright, one last little tier of messages, I'm assuming. Okay. Oh no, we almost saw the... Oh! We don't want this card to come out now, do we? Because we've been... We got the PTSD with Virgo energy showing up in your Aries reading all the fucking time. I swear. I just... Hilarious. Alright. So, King of Pentacles. With strength. Like I said, the emotional parts. The emotional regulation that needs to happen. And the only way to really hit you is the things that you love, Aries, and you love money. I mean, who doesn't love money? But you love money. If you learn quickly in the first spell to do the money spell, you will be the quick one. Give me my money. I'm going to live in my royalty of whatever the fuck I want. As you should. Yet when it doesn't work, don't point the finger at someone else. Because the irony will still fit. There's 3 other motherfuckers looking the fucking fingers pointing right back at you. Like, you understand what you do? What do you understand what you pointing at over there? Little do you know, you're not triggering that person. You're triggering yourself. Are you aware of this shit? Emotional regulation. Damn, the tea that I feel in that, because so many adults do not know how to emotionally regulate, and these adults have children or are responsible for your children. They're making expert decisions while not having emotionally regulated nothing. So, all right, do the do, be human. Learn how to do that shit. All right, I'm wishing you a wonderful morning, noon, or night, wherever you are in the ether of this time and space, and may you keep flowing, growing, and glowing. Take care.